throughout the nation and around the globe. From his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, DearJames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, we receive the intuitive wisdom from the unseen, and we go as guided. And we're doing a bit of a recap, review, retrograde, if you will, and I'll explain in a moment, all so in the effort of moving forward. Welcome, Olivia. And so this recap, review, and retrograde, because most of the outer planets, the heavy hitters, are starting to go retrograde. And they will kind of almost to the end of the year. So our outer planets, which affect greater massive change, are going retrograde. And in that, with last week's show, as we were looking, on the 20th of June was the solstice, the summer solstice. Welcome, Alicia. And the next day, on the 21st, was the Capricorn full moon. And as I went to look at this week's energies and everything, the unseen was very clear about, we're going back to look at the solstice, the summer solstice, the solstice. And we had said in that show that there was something different about this solstice. And so they're bringing us back to these two energies, the solstice and the full moon, the Capricorn full moon, with an effort of everything that's happening and occurring. These energies are setting the tone for us to move forward. So we're going to take a little walk down memory lane here, and let's just bring up last week's main theme was a powerful portal for change. And it was the full moon and the solstice energies. However, it really was talking about this open door, this open gateway for change, a powerful portal for change. This week, we have this beautiful, the solstice, teeing up the inevitable. So when we look at the astrological chart for the summer solstice, the solstice that just occurred on the 20th of June, and let me just bring it up really quickly. There was something about it. Here I'm looking at it, it's up on the screen, and I was looking at it, intuitively, there was this thing of like, this is teeing up the inevitable. This is and remember these energies, the solstice and the Capricorn full moon are working in concert together with one another. And there was something about the fact that it's teeing up the inevitable. Well, when we look at the image for this, the main energies about this, they were very clear. The unseen was very clear. It's the solstice. And then when you see the image are of these lovely maidens standing in the water, one is in a purple gown, one is in a green gown, a blue gown, a gold gown, and a red gown. So very reminiscent of rainbow light energies and so forth. They have the garland of flowers around their hair. And in essence, they're doing or performing ceremony. And what struck me about this so much was, so this is teeing up the inevitable. And the inevitable is the return, the presence, the rightful place of the divine feminine. And how in their unity and in their harmony, they bring about a new age, a new era, a new way of being. And I'm just going to go to it really quickly while we're here, and I'm leaving the image up because it's so beautiful. Water. Water is wisdom. Water amplifies our intuitive nature. Babies are born, in the waters of the mother, in the drawing a blank. I know what it's called and I'm drawing a blank, but you all understand what I'm saying. This aspect of water and how they then are in unity with one another and they're looking out to the future. And so it says Their backs are turned to the past, not in a negative way, but in a beautiful way where what we are harvesting, what we are bringing to us is the present future. What lies beyond where we've been. And number 3 and number 4 this week from the unseen is they said, speaking truth to power, the golden age, the golden era. So the divine feminine golden age era is speaking truth to power. And it's not in a aggressive manner. It is in a very matter of fact, I am matter. It speaks for itself. So speaking truth to power, the golden age, the golden era. And it goes with number 4. And it's a song by Jackie Moore. It's a 1979 disco version song. And it's This Time Baby. And they said, we won't be in and out of love, in and out. So this era of speaking truth to power, this golden age, golden era, the divine feminine, it's like, this time, baby, we won't be in and out of love, in and out. It's going to be consistent, constant. We'll be in a state of grace, love, harmony, equality, goodness. Yes, we are still bearing witness to the Pluto going retrograding back into Capricorn, shaking the foundations loose, shaking the primordial tree so that we can be bloom where you're planted, transplanted to a new way of being. And this applies, obviously, it's the outer planets. So yes, it is the macro that we're speaking about. However, that will also, of course, affect each micro, each of us. So we have this beautiful, a powerful portal for change, and that open door, the full moon, the fairy-like elements to it, and then moving to the solstice, teeing up the inevitable. So those are the main themes. So now let's look at what the astrological influences are. Last week, magical occurrences, a fairy tale factor. So that was with the full moon, this magical occurrences, a fairy tale factor. And then this week with the astrological influences, a restlessness that waits no more. A restlessness that waits no longer. So we have this, and you can see on the 20th was the solstice, on the 21st was the Capricorn full moon, and coming up on the 29th, Saturday, I believe, Saturn stations retrograde at 19 degrees Pisces, and right behind it, a few days later, Neptune soon to follow. So we're starting to see Pluto's already retrograde, Saturn's going retrograde, Neptune is going retrograde, and there will be, I think by the end of the, coming up here, all of the major outer planets are moving retrograde. So a restlessness that waits no more. So, and they were very clear about wanting the color pink. So you see the intro was pink. I'm wearing a pink shirt. The flowers are pink. This beautiful and pink in the halls of Amenti, in the pyramid, the life pyramid, if you will. The top color, the highest point of the pyramid is pink. So highest consciousness, going back to where we began, but an octave higher, reaching a peak. It's pink, purple, blue. So we can see how the unseen is speaking to us, and I'm bringing up the solstice image again, teeing up the inevitable. It is the inevitable. The arc of destiny moves forward. The divine feminine is taking her rightful place. And again, yes, is it loud and chaotic and messy, this transfer of power? Yes, it doesn't have to be. However, 8 billion souls on the planet, there are many who don't want to lose their power, their control. And so the unseen is asking us in this moment, they're asking us to look at within our individual lives, where are these aspects of control and not wanting to lose our control, our power, and so forth. What are those issues and items? And how are they affecting our lives and to face them head on, address them. It's not the ostrich with your head buried in the sand. It's about recognizing, I'm doing this because I'm afraid, or for whatever reason, or, I don't want to lose something, or blah, 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 whatever the issue is. However, if we're meant to let go of it, if it's meant to depart and leave us, if we're meant to empty it from our vessel so that we're pure and ready to receive the new, they're asking us, they're demanding that we do it, that we face it. Because again, the more rapidly we do so, the more rapidly we advance. And this is all about advance. So while we recap, review, retrogrades, look back, all of that recap and review and the retrograde is for our advance. It is going to advance us. And it's just how we go about interacting with it. Let's look at then the keywords. And we have some beautiful keywords. So again, last week we had dispensation and an appointment, arrangement, or favor as by God, a divinely appointed order or age, the old Mosaic or Jewish dispensation, the new gospel or Christian dispensation, a general state or ordering of things. And this keyword dispensation goes with our beautiful image, Amaji. It's a Sumerian word, return to the mother. And it means freedom, manumission, deliverance from enslavement, and whole and clear, free, unencumbered. So this dispensation goes with Amaji, return to the mother. Then we have symbiosis, a cooperative relationship as between two persons or groups, interaction between two different organisms living in close physical association, typically to the advantage of both. So advantage, advance, and mutually harmonic, a mutually beneficial relationship between different people or groups. And the image that we had that goes with this is the Three of Cups. And here are these beautiful, from the Llewellyn Tarot, Mora Green Jewelry, and the Lightseers Tarot. On the left, you see, almost kind of similar to our main theme image, the three maidens, their cups raised, the full moon, and they're in unity, harmony, celebration. They're coming together. And so how this will play about. In the Mora Green Jewelry image, these beautiful iridescent rainbow arms and hands uplifting, holding three golden cups, and the kind of alabaster background. So, and then you go to the Lightseers Tarot on the far right, and again, a more maybe modern day version of three maidens, and that celestial event that they're looking up at something from the heavens that emanates from the heavens. So with symbiosis, it's the Three of Cups. This week, we have the beautiful keyword grace, and it's hexagram 22, which we are working with, 22, the most powerful master number. Grace, unmerited divine assistance given to humans for their regeneration and or sanctification, a virtue coming from God, a state of sanctification enjoyed through divine assistance, to confer dignity or honor on or upon. And with this, we have the beautiful image of the High Priestess. And here she, representing the divine feminine, and she's the keeper of wisdom, the keeper of secrets. She knows all, and she reveals it to us in divine time, divine order. And so again, be looking to your individual lives, in our individual lives, and this is from Brigitte Ashwood with Luminous Tarot. Where is the unseen? Where is your soul source connection, leading you, guiding you, advancing you? What is it that you are to release and let go of? Because again, the quicker, faster, more earnestly you do that, the more readily and expeditiously it arrives, it comes to you, the more easy it is for you. And it's all for you. It's for us. This is not about, punishment or taking things away or It's simply about divine order, divine change, a new dispensation, a powerful portal change, alas, a new dispensation. Last week, the themes from the unseen. I believe I can fly. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. So can I. No matter what, come what may, advance. Surrealist platitudes no longer, no more. It's time. And then number 5 was change, just capital letters, change. So we are advancing, we are moving forward, and you're going to see how and let me just finish up, but you're going to see how the Sabian symbols for the solstice and the Capricorn full moon, how they are literally bringing to our attention this cross point, this apex moment, this opportunity for change. Olivia is saying, I am so ready. Letting go is fantastic. And it is. Because again, when we recognize that it's not happening to us, but it's happening for us, with us, well then it's easier to get on board. It's easier to pursue it. It's easier to embrace and embody it. We're not salmon. We don't naturally swim upriver. It's not what humans do. We're meant to, air quotes, go with the flow. Flow with our natural divine order, with our soul source connection. And for 2,000 plus years, we have been led by our ego, mind, personality, our divine masculine. And that absolutely has a place. We must absolutely have a healthy, fortified ego, mind, and personality. However, not to the detriment or exception or suppression of our intuition, our divine feminine. Because that knowing, that truth, that moral purity is there for a reason. It is to guide us so that we live harmonic, beautiful lives. We live long lives when we're like that. We're in harmony with one another. We're in harmony with Mother Earth. It's not hard. We just aren't doing it. And thereby, here comes, and it's number 1, so here comes, backtracking to find our way forward. That's from the unseen. We're backtracking, so all of these major planets going retrograde. This looking at the solstice, teeing up the inevitable, a powerful portal for change, alas, a new dispensation. Backtracking to find our way forward. And then it's the words double Dutch. And this came up in a client's reading last week. And this is from the National Double Dutch League. The history of double Dutch. Basically, double Dutch is a rope skipping exercise played when 2 ropes are turned in egg beater fashion. While the ropes are turned, a third person jumps in. 3 of Cups. This unity. You've got to be in sync with one another. There's a unity about it. There's a celebration. There's an excitement. If you've ever watched, it's amazing when people do it and do it really well. A history of the game written by David A. Walker, the founder of the sport, traces the probable origins to ancient Phoenician, Egyptian, and Chinese rope makers. Ancient Phoenician, Egyptian, and Chinese rope makers. So we're talking about thousands of years. They plied their craft at rope walks, spaces 900 feet or more in length, usually near seaports, with a bunch of hemp around their waists and 2 strands attached to the wheel. The rope makers walked backwards, twisting the rope into uniformity. As the runners traveled the cluttered floors supplying the spinners with hemp, they had to jump the twisting rope. To make their deliveries, they needed quick feet, lithe bodies, and good eye perception. It is possible that at these ancient rope works, the basic framework of double Dutch evolved. In all likelihood, the rope spinners, runners, and their families patched together a leisure time activity from their work. The strand over strand turning movement of the spinners, the footwork of the runners evolved into the game. Thereafter, it was passed from generation to generation. The Dutch settlers brought the game to the Hudson River trading town of New Amsterdam. now known as Manhattan, New York City. When the English arrived and saw the children playing their game, they called it double dutch. So for anybody that's ever watched double dutch or tried to participate in it and so forth, it takes great unity, acuity, divine timing, divine, symbiosis. It requires it. And when it's done, and when you have more than one person jump into the middle and they're doing it all synchronized, it's extraordinary. It requires oneness, unity. These are the energies that the unseen is speaking of. And how to, it's number 3 and 4, speak truth to power, the golden age, the golden era. How do we unify body, mind, and soul? Ego, mind, personality, body, soul, source connection. They have to be unified. And DNA, a beautiful twisted rope. Double dutch, a twisted rope with multiple components that are all being harmonized in unity. And that speaks to the Aquarian age, the matriarchal age, and what we're looking at, what they're saying to us, because the unseen is imploring us to hear their message, to get it. They are imploring us to stop doing what we've done before. Plain and simple. They're like, been there, done that. There's a new dispensation. So let's look at our mantras. Last week, I am ready. And you see the feminine on the magic carpet. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. So can I. I believe I can fly. So we have this beautiful image, and over the sands of time, and there she's magically, floating, hovering. And then this week, our mantra is, this is my now. And you see the pink with the yellow, and it's the dandelion, the seeds, where it's getting ready to take flight. It's getting ready to be released. And so the unseen is saying to us, this is my now, and I am ready. So we're ready to do this thing. So let's take a look. We're going to go to, I'm going to share my screen with you all, and we're going to go to Pam Youngan's North Point Journal. And we're going to, and let me just bring this up, this beautiful image that she has by Free Pick. And you see the bonsai tree. You see the initiate, the Buddha, sitting in review, in stillness. And what struck me about this image with all of this is you see all of these white stones. Some are larger, these stones, pebbles. And what instantly hit me was each one of these pebbles, these stones, in this stillness moment, this reflective moment, portray wisdom. And how, we often talk about, when you stub your toe on a stone, it hurts, it gets your attention because we're not paying attention. Here's all of these stones and pebbles representing, so we're surrounded by wisdom. And they're in this beautiful kind of soft, pale white. It's a beautiful image. And it speaks, everything about this image speaks to wisdom. And that is what we are being called forth to engage, our intuitive wisdom. So let's go. She says, Pam Youngan's the astrologer with her North Point Journal. And she speaks to planets at a standstill. 2 planets at a standstill. These next 2 weeks, the final week of June and the first week of July 2024, are dominated by the influences of 2 planets with very different agendas. Realistic, goal-oriented Saturn, the master teacher, the taskmaster, and idealistic, go-with-the-flow Neptune. And Neptune can be about our dreams and our hopes, dreams, and wishes, and it can also represent illusion. Both planets are virtually at a standstill as they prepare to go retrograde. Saturn reaches its station this Saturday, June 29th, and Neptune follows suit on Tuesday, July 2nd. When a planet slows to change direction, we feel its energy more profoundly than at other times. And she uses an analogy about the trains coming into a station and how you feel that. So if you ever traveled in Europe and so forth, but you feel the energy and the vibration of the train, of the engine and the energy when they're arriving and departing, and when they're stationary, when they're standing still until they, kill the engine, so to speak, turn it off. The Saturn effect. When Saturn's influence is strong, we usually experience some form of a reality check. The unseen is screaming at us. This is a reality check moment and opportunity. We can more clearly see what is and isn't working for us, and just often discover that some practical decisions or actions need to be taken. So again, we're being asked to self-review, self-reflect, self-advance, meaning to let go of, take the necessary steps to do what we're meant to do to advance ourselves forward. One of the analogies I like to use for Saturn's effect is that of realizing that we need to prune a tree. There may be suckers around the base of the trunk that are drawing energy away from healthy growth. There may be dead branches there that could be hazardous and need to be removed. Or there may be too many branches or too much fruit on the branches or limbs that are blocking a clear view out our window. With Saturn in full force, we tend to be more objective about the branches on our tree. We may make concrete decisions about what to retain and what to delete. So this is all about emptying our vessel and about editing and about purging and purifying. Because again, any garden, any tree, any yard, pruning is a necessary requirement, and it brings about healthy growth. It brings about beauty. It brings about purity and harmony. Pam Youngins goes on to say, and while we may feel a certain level of detachment about the process of pruning, the shadow side of Saturn can manifest as fear or depression. These emotions can occur if we feel attached to the branches that we now realize need to be removed, or if we feel overwhelmed by the amount of work that needs to be done. And since Saturn is stationing in esoteric Pisces, its energies could manifest as a spiritual challenge or a test of faith. The way through is faith, trust, and one step at a time. It's not to become overwhelmed with the entirety of what needs to be pruned and purged and purified. It's just to simply recognize it and then say, what is the first? And the bonsai tree. You trim a bonsai tree so gently, so carefully, slowly. Well, step by step by step. It's the same exact thing. So this is where we are. Saturn will station at 19 degrees, 25 arc minutes in Pisces on the 29th. The Neptune effect. In great contrast to the sensible assessment of reality and practical action required by Saturn, mystical Neptune's task is to teach us about intuition, faith, trust, and the big one, surrender. You are never more empowered than when you surrender. And you're not surrendering to some person, place, or thing. You are surrendering to yourself, your soul source connection. So remember that. Remember that when you surrender, it is unto yourself, your soul self. And it's okay to say to your ego, mind, personality, I know this is scary. We'll get through it. It's not here to harm us. It's here for us. And we will become more, greater. We will expand our container, our vessel. Pam Youngins goes on to say, as we work with its influence, we benefit from focusing on our spiritual practice in whatever form that takes. The creative imagination is enhanced when Neptune is strong, as are the intuition and all our clairsenses. We are more sensitive, idealistic, and impressionable, experiencing more of the attributes associated with the high heart chakra: compassion, understanding, and altruism. We may feel more comfortable floating through the day rather than trying to direct our actions or intentions. Going with the flow, being in harmony and alignment with our soul source connection, and recognizing when our ego mind personality is causing us to experience anxiety, frustration. It's like, that's my ego mind personality. That's not my soul. My soul's over here on the left. It's over here being quiet. It's over here observing. It knows better. That's my ego mind personality causing this friction, this chaos, this confrontation. Let me release it. The shadow side of Neptune manifests when we take these high vibrational qualities to an unhealthy extreme. Compassion and altruism can become self-denial or lead us to take on the role of rescuer or victim, martyr. It's happening to me. Why do I, do this? Blah, blah, blah. But that's the point. Ask yourself, why am I playing this role? What is it that I actually truly get out of it? Oh, I want something from someone, or I want them to see something, or I want them to do something. Well, ding-a-ling, ding, 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 there's your answer. And you're able then to say, I'm going to purge that. I'm going to stop that. Sensitivity can be so strong that there is a need to withdraw or escape reality in some way. And the idealism can turn to disappointment or disillusionment when we do not use discernment, keeping at least one foot in this physical reality. This conjures up the Seven of Cups. Neptune, the illusion, but it's also the opportunity. The Seven of Cups in the tarot is all about opportunity, choices. However, it requires discernment. And she lastly says Neptune will station at 29 degrees, 55 arc minutes in Pisces on July 2nd. So 3 heavy hitters, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, will be, by July 2nd, are going to be retrograde for us, shaking our foundations, the primordial tree, and why? Because we're ready. We're ready to be placed, to advance, and to be placed in a larger container, a more beautiful container. I am ready. That's our mantra from last week. I am ready. This is my now. It's so beautiful. It's so positive and beautiful and exciting for me. This is the word. Because number 5 from the unseen this week is a return to grace. And remember, grace, unmerited divine assistance given to humans for their regeneration or sanctification, a virtue coming from God, a state of sanctification enjoyed through divine assistance. The Three of Cups, they're looking up at this celestial event. The other side has the full moon to confer dignity or honor on. And so we have this beautiful moment of a return to grace, and how it harks back to our main image. Look at the grace, look at the beauty, look at the symmetry, the unity, the harmony, and the possibility, the potential. They know what's on the other side because they're looking to it. They know where they've been because their back is to it. Not in a negative way. However, in a way of advance, of anticipation, of joy. And they're playing their part. They're playing their role. And they're ushering this in for all of us. Gives me goosebumps. Put in how this is resonating with all of you in the comments. So now let's look at the Sabian symbols. There's some beautiful Sabian symbols. The first one for the sun on the solstice is on a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. The keynote is a radical change of allegiance exteriorized in a symbolical act, a point of no return. The arc of destiny moves forward. And these Sabian symbols are from Dane Rudyer and Astrological Mandala. And it says, we have now reached a square, a go degree angle, to the beginning of the cyclic process. This is a moment of crisis, a sharp turning point. In the zodiacal cycle at the summer solstice, the northward motion of the sun in decimation stops. The sun rises and sets as far north of exact east and west as it can during the year cycle. Its motion is now reversed. Slowly, the sunset points move more southward on the western horizon, and the length of the day decreases. In the lunation cycle, from new moon to new moon, this is the first quarter phase. On the ship, in quotes, which symbolizes the ego consciousness floating, as it were, on the sea of the vast unconsciousness, the individualized will makes a basic decision. The dominant yang force allows the yin force, so the divine and the dominant masculine, patriarchal masculine force opens up, releases, and allows the yin force, the divine feminine, Aquarian, to begin its 6-month-long rise to power. Well, this is going to be far longer than 6 months. This is the next 2,000 plus years. The collective, in quotes, will gradually overcome the individual, and at the end, the state will overpower the person. Now, however, the individual person enjoys their most glorious hour. They exult in their ability to make a free decision, to act as an individual who selects their life goal and their allegiance. The great American eclipse of August 2017, the unseen saying, we're drawing a line in the sand. You're being seen. You're being counted. So here we are being asked to choose, to decide what, in our free will, where do we stand? Are we clinging to the past? Or are we openly advancing to the future? In a decisive act heavy with consequences, the symbolic college youth might realize that they should bring to an end their quest for the ideal companion and enter into matrimony. They assent to the possibility of progeny, of home responsibility. Their consciousness accepts a process of fundamental reorientation, implying the stabilization of their energies. They recognize the world is changing, the time, the era is changing, their energies are changing. And so they accept a greater responsibility, a greater possibility, potentiality through this reorientation, as opposed to trying to cling to the past. Olivia is saying, what comes to me is to let go of any blame, no matter who or what, even myself. Absolutely. Because everything is truly divine and neutral. It's for us to see beyond it or through it. And you'll see how that plays in HEXAGRAM 22. There's a fable that is included in that. The full moon to the sun. So the full moon sun, a man on a magic carpet hovers over a large area of land. You see that in one of the person hovering on a magic carpet. The ability to expand one's consciousness by stabilizing one's point of view at a higher level. This is the paradox which confuses so many minds. As long as the intellect restlessly searches for new horizons, it is confused by its searching. Remember, they are saying to us that a revisionist history no more, and that we're looking at this, that we're not confused anymore. There's no more restlessness. That's in our it's our astrological influences, a restlessness that waits no more. Well, accepting a stable focus, the mind can raise its point of observation and see reality in a truer perspective, a higher octave. We can see through the illusion. The individual becomes the whole, focused at this particular point for a particular task and function. They can at least reflect the consciousness of the greater whole of humanity. This second stage symbol establishes a contrast between a stabilizing new allegiance, which limits the wheel, and the capacity to envision life from a wider perspective. See, this allegiance which limits. Oh, I'm attached to the old person, place, or thing, or way. And thereby, that allegiance to the old limits me. It confines me, oppresses, suppresses me. And I'm actively choosing that. Why? And yet, or there's a capacity to envision life from a wider perspective, thanks to which many lives are seen to converge upon the raised consciousness. Many souls, many people will choose to converge upon this raised consciousness. At this stage, one realizes that by giving up an indefinite search for two-dimensional extension, one gains elevation in the third dimension of consciousness. There's more. There's always been more. And we are now coming in at the same time with it. However, it's a choice. You got to choose it. It is a choice. So with the moon, so we're looking at the sun, the moon. With the moon for the solstice, seagulls flying around a ship in expectation of food. So notice the image of water with the maidens, ships, hovering, flying, greater consciousness, the water aspect. It represents our emotions, which means it's our intuitive nature. So here, seagulls fly around a ship in expectation of food. The easily acquired dependence of psychic desires upon the stimulation of social circumstances. What this speaks to is how seagulls or animals become dependent upon the effects of humanity, of humans. Dependence. Where are we dependent upon an old way, an old belief, an old wound? And we're asked, micro and macro, we're being asked to look at it. Because what happens when the seagulls become dependent on the discards of humanity? They forget their nature. They forget what is innate within them and where they would source that out in a more pure manner. So they're literally dependent upon humanity's waste. Well, look what happens. The full moon symbol for the moon, 3 rose windows in a Gothic church, 1 damaged by war. The necessary realization by any individual making a violent use of collective power that it will lead to the inevitable destruction of some of the values ensuring group integration. Its main symbol, it represents the capital, the currency, the capital of group energies is partially squandered in armaments and death. Waste is the opposite of group integration. So it's our decay. It is our inability to listen to our soul source connection that creates waste, that harms the greatness that we are. It harms us, and we become dependent on it. We can't think for ourselves. We can't find it ourselves. We are in chaos. We're creating chaos. And all we have to do to stop the waste and the chaos and the dependence is fine-tune our internal GPS, soul source connection. Go back to listening to your soul. Allow your soul to lead. Align your ego, mind, personality in service to your soul source connection. Bam. Limitless. We can fly, over the rainbow. We can, all of these things are possible. And this is not airy-fairy, BS. It's fact. It's truth. It's what came before us. It explains what came before us that we still cannot replicate today. Pure, plain, and simple. It's not rocket science, as they say. So let me get to one. I'm going to do one more of these. I'm going to post all of these symbols, and you will see the juxtaposition and how they are working with one another together. And just getting to it very quickly here. If I can find, here we are. It's the lot of fortune for the solstice. A large camel is seen crossing a vast and forbidding desert. The keynote is self-sufficiency in the face of a long and exhausting adventure. This is a long and exhausting venture. This millennia, for us to arrive at this new moment, this return to the divine feminine, amaji, to free ourselves. The camel here represents a living organism that can sustain itself independently of its environment at the start of a trying journey. We are the camel. We are the entity, the living organism that can sustain itself independently of its environment. The organism carries within itself what is absolutely needed for survival. At the deeper human level of consciousness, it is easy to see the value of self-reliance and self-sufficiency as one enters the occult path, the wisdom path, leading to a more dynamic and more inclusive realm of existence. The higher the octave, the higher the wisdom, the greater the container, the vessel. The camel carries water within its body, and it is said that the dromedary can utilize the matter stored in its large protuberance as food, the humps. The suggestion here is that to be released from bondage to the old world, just going to bring it up here, amaji, return to the mother. Amaji means monomission, freedom, liberation from debt, from encumbrance. So the suggestion here is that to be released from bondage to the old world, we should be completely self-contained emotionally. Soul source connection, water. Having absorbed the mental food which this old culture has given us, so the divine patriarch, the divine masculine, so having absorbed the mental food, ego, mind, personality, which this old culture has given us, we are ready to face, quote, the desert, the nothingness, sunya, until we reach, quote, the new world. We need total independence from our surroundings and utter self-reliance. Soul source connection. Nothing is outside of us. We have everything we need. We have always had it. And all we need to do is change lanes. Allow, or it's the image of the motorcycle with the sidecar. Allow your ego, mind, personality to be in the sidecar and allow your soul source connection, your soul, to lead. That is all that's required because we have it all. The lot of fortune symbol for the full moon, a gang of robbers in hiding. Protest against disharmonic social privilege. It is questionable whether the formulation of the symbol at this place is adequate, but it is kept on general principle. One might rather think of Robin Hood and his band, or early Bolsheviks in Russia robbing banks to finance the revolution. The protest against an unbalanced society with its rigid stratification into classes can be seen as a positive factor, even if it challenges the principle of order, for it reveals dynamic qualities in individuals and the will to transformation. In another sense, it is the dark shadow of the ideal of non-possessiveness. The question is, how valid and effective is this kind of protest? The fourth stage in a fivefold sequence of symbols and phases usually presents us with at least a hint of technique. What can this mean at this level? So what does this mean at this level, this protest against disharmonic social privilege? And again, Aquarian age, divine feminine, matriarchal, is about we the people, and how it shifts the balance, the inequity, the disharmony, the classism. It shifts away from that. So what can this mean at this level? Perhaps the fact that any effective resistance to the momentum of crystallized institutions should be organized if it is to be effective. So in essence, here's Pluto retrograde. Here's all the heavy hitter planets going retrograde. And they are going to shake the primordial tree, the foundations, loose, these crystallized institutions. And in order to fully effectuate that, a greater percentage of the masses must be organized, come together to be effective. Individuals alone are impotent in producing actual changes in social consciousness. Meaning, now, I don't know that I agree with that completely because, again, a Master Jesus, a Gandhi, a shadow element, a Hitler, well, one individual, however, it wasn't one individual. It was everyone that worked in concert with them in the purity or the impurity of the example. A group must be formed. The key words are group protest. So there's a group protest at the same time, a total independence from these outer elements, or a self-reliance, coming to the awareness that we're not buying this bag of goods that are being sold by individuals that want to maintain the old order, the old way, their power, their control, at the expense of the Aquarian age, the masses, we the people. So again, there's great beauty here. And I'm going to post all of the Sabian symbols for the solstice and the Capricorn full moon, and you'll see them in concert with one another, and how the message is speaking very loudly and very clearly that it's number 2, and I touched on it a moment ago. The unseen said, a revisionist history no more. What you see is what you get. Monkey see, monkey do. And that's when they went into speaking truth to power, the golden age, the golden era. So this kind of trying to rewrite history to say that somehow everything that we've been through in the last 2,000 plus years didn't happen. I mean, all the uncomfortable, not pretty elements, the shadow aspects of the divine masculine era. We're going to whitewash that. We're going to revise that. We're going to act like it never happened. Yeah, that's not happening. The unseen is saying, no, a revisionist history, no more. What you see is what you get. So if you're aligning with that truth and that existence, that's the experience you're going to have. It's not the era, the energy, the era, the experience that is going to remain or stay. Advance. We are advancing forward. And so again, that train comes in, the patriarchal divine masculine train comes into the station, it stops, and it does not leave. It doesn't continue on anywhere. You cross the platform, you get on the divine feminine, matriarchal, Aquarian age train, and that one is the one that's taking off until it completes its cycle 2,000 plus years from now. Last but not least, let's look at hexagram 22. And it's about grace. Its action is accept. I mean, when we act with grace, we see the divine in one another. It's namaste. I bow to the divine in you. I see through the illusion. I see through what's on the surface. I see what's really occurring. And you see me. Its hidden influence, 40, liberation, amaji, monomission, liberation, untangle. We untangle the web. Its underlying cause? Oppression and exhaustion. Adapt. It's hexagram 6. Conflict. Let go. So where there's oppression and exhaustion, adapt. Empty your vessel. Allow things to move forward. The master said, oh, pardon me, we're going here. Fire at the foot of the mountain. The image of grace. Seasons can change gracefully or destructively. Either way, nature's behavior cannot be classified in terms of good or bad. It's divine neutral. We build homes in what was once a desert, irrigate our gardens during times of drought, and wonder why the trees in the hillside catch on fire. The seeds of higher elevation plants actually require fire for regeneration. We've spoken a lot about baptism by fire. This Holy Spirit descending upon to illuminate, to awaken us to a higher level, a higher consciousness. In the image of how things are valued, the Master said, the way is benevolent and excels on bestowing. Through wildfires, nature accomplishes new growth by removing old growth. Although you may put labels of value on experience, you sometimes cannot see how good fortune perches on apparent disaster. So we can look at this transformation, this apex moment from patriarchal to matriarchal, Piscean to Aquarian, divine masculine to divine feminine, as an apparent disaster. We're leaving what we've known, and yet good fortune perches on apparent disaster, because all of a sudden we expand, we open our vessel. Mountains and islands are created, and this is by Carrie Hone at cafeausoul.com. Mountains and islands are created by the violent shifting of tectonic plates. Nature paves the way for renewal through fire, floods, and landslides. And me possibly sneezing. Living within a sliver of time in geological terms, we erect our structures on an ever-changing landscape. Since the beginning of its existence, the Earth has always been very much alive. And yet we take that for granted. We are the custodians. We are meant to be in harmony with Mother Earth. And yet we act like she's not a living, breathing organism, entity, like we are. What are we doing that harms her? Would we choose to do that to ourselves? And when we do we find ourselves self-correcting that? Obstruction in here is often overcome through the breaking down of what we cling to out there. Over time, you will recognize all experience as the graceful way that life leads you where you need to be. Pi, grace, is translated to mean because, and suggests that life doesn't happen to you, it happens because of you, for you. It happens because of the choices we make. This is one of our quotes. One who is open to the way will gladly embrace it. One who is not open to it and told about it will laugh out loud at it. Similarly, one who is crying might not realize how life nourishes the unseen garden within through tears. Something has yet to grow, and in this case, awareness must evolve before value can be found in the experience. Bai is a message, Bai meaning grace, is a message about seeing the silver lining. Who knows what is good or what is bad? And this is what we were talking about that connects to the earlier piece, this fable that I was mentioning. Once a farmer's mare ran away, and afterward his neighbor came by to console him. The farmer said, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" The next day the mare returned with a stallion, and the neighbor congratulated him. The farmer responded, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" The following day the farmer's son was thrown from the stallion and broke his leg, and again the neighbor consoled him. "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" said the farmer. Within the same week, the army came to conscript the farmer's son, who was dismissed because of his broken leg. The neighbor finally agreed, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" The moral of the fable is, look beyond what's on the surface. Look to the deeper meaning, because in this sense, the mare leaves. Is that bad? The mare comes back with a stallion. Is that good? Oh, the son breaks his leg. Is that bad? Oh, but he's excused from army and service because of his broken leg. Is that good? It is a part, when we allow grace, it is a part of seeing through the illusion, using discernment before we speak and act, and then be able to see how our life, our soul, source connection, is guiding us. There's one last piece, because it's our final quote, and it says, all that remains is the light of understanding, which grows within and illuminates the eyes. So there's this beautiful thing. All that remains is the light of understanding. The light of understanding is grace. The light of understanding is what allows us to see through the illusions. It allows us to see what the soul said it would do, what the soul wants us, what we said we would come and learn or experience. And it is what grows within and illuminates the eyes. And they often speak that the eyes are the window to the soul. So we have a beautiful, powerful message from the unseen this week of review, recap, the solstice, teeing up the inevitable, and the inevitable is this beautiful image of these maidens, the divine feminine, Amaji, monomission, liberation, a powerful portal for change, alas, a new dispensation, grace, symbiosis, dispensation, and that we have everything we need within us. It's not outside of you. It's not outside of us. It is not the old order, the old way. It is what is before us, what came before us, and what's literally before us. That is going to expand our vessel, our awareness, our abilities to be and to see. So just to recap these energies from the unseen, backtracking to find our way forward. So we're backtracking to find our way forward, double Dutch, which goes back to the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, and the Chinese, and the Three of Cups, the celebration, unity, working in harmony with one another. A revisionist history no more. What you see is what you get, what you will experience. Monkey see, monkey do. So be mindful of the monkey you're mimicking. Speaking truth to power, the golden age, the golden era. This time, baby, we won't be in and out of love. In and out. This new matriarchal Aquarian golden age and era, it's all about love. It's all about harmony, unity, empathy, compassion, the waters of life, the emotion of it, the soul of it. And last but not least, 5, a return to grace. Cannot wait to see you all. Thank you for your comments, for your presence, for your energy, your love. And I am so, so very honored to be on this journey with all of you. So keep shining your light, keep emptying your vessel, keep polishing your stone, keep taking each step as it presents itself with grace and with ease, because I believe I can fly. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, so can I. No matter what, come what may, advance. Surrealist platitudes no longer, no more. It's time. And it's all about change. It's all about advance. Until next week, we will see you all then. Be well and be wonderful and keep shining your light.
You've been listening to Dear James Live. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting DearJames.com.